There we go. Ariel. There we go. Okay, so now we're up to the 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 new mimer.
Yeah.
This mimer is, but now we're going to begin with two questions, with with a couple of questions, and to understand them, it starts with Parshas Shmos. That there it says that the Jewish people, the Bnei Yisrael came to Egypt, right, with Yaakov. Okay. So that's we asked the question in Parshas Vayigash. We already know this that they came to Egypt. So, but there it doesn't say it exactly the same way. There it says these are the names of the Jewish people. They came to Egypt. Yaakov and his sons. Okay, and this week's parsha, Yaakov is sort of split off. The word Egypt splits it off. The nations who came to Egypt with also Yaakov. And the Parsha Vayigash, it's they came who came to Egypt, Yaakov and his sons. So the question arises, what's the difference? Why is it that when the Torah says something in a certain way, so it means it's exact. There's depth. So therefore, we have to go into understanding what is the depth over here. Okay. Also, we have to understand this concept. What is it that sometimes Yaakov is put together with his children, and sometimes Yaakov is referred as separate with his children? Okay. Now, to understand this, we're going to go back into the concept of the process of davening, which is generally the whole part of this mimer is to connect the two halves. We spoke about the Chatzor Rotzot, have two halves have to be put together. So we spoke that the one half, another half that they put together is that the soul, which is vested in the body, has to be united together with the animal soul, that they should work together. But then we said that after that is already reality. So then it is possible to reveal the source of the soul, which is really above the limits of the body, and therefore, and the result is that the everything goes up to a higher level, and even the depths of understanding become a deeper depth of understanding because you're dealing with the source of the soul, which is much 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 higher than the limitations of the physicality. Okay. Now, to go into this into action, the practicality, what do you have to do, right, to be able to accomplish such a thing? So now we're going to go into it, that explain that every soul is built up of five different levels. These are called in Hebrew Naran Chai. They're the first letters of Nefesh, the soul that's invested in the body. Ruach is the spirit, which has to do with the heart. Neshama, which has to do with the level of the understanding. And then there's Chaya, which is the power of self-sacrifice. And then there's Yechida, which is the unification of the soul, at the level of the unification of the soul with the Creator. Okay. So now, just like there are five different levels in the soul, there's also these different levels in our every daily service of Hashem. Okay. So when a person gets up in the morning, right, and he runs right into the lowest level, which is called nefesh, and therefore he has to have a what's a self-nullification on the lowest level, which means that he starts his day with the declaration Modeh Ani. I admit that there is a creator, that he brought back my soul. So that is it's an admission which is not coming from understanding, because the soul has a power. Right? We saw when the Jews received the Torah. So we said Nasa v'nishma. Nasa is the ability to accomplish and accept, even though we don't understand. And then afterwards we understand. So too, every day when we start our service of Hashem, so we have to begin with this sub sub sublimation. Okay, in English, the sublimation, sublimation of the person to the Creator. Okay, so now this after is the beginning, and that's what's called in Hebrew hoda'ah. Okay, and this level of hoda'ah could have different levels. There's a simple hold that the person has that he knows that there has to be a creator. And there are different levels of person that he feels it more. It's a more under higher sort of level of just not just saying it, but he also feels it. Okay, and therefore, when a person has this ability of subjugation of to the creator, he's able to sort of push himself to do what the creator wants, even though he might not understand or want. And this is the beginning of what's called of of harnessing yourself to the service of the creator. Okay? In Hebrew, it's called Kabbalah soul. A person accepts to do what the creator wants, even though himself might not so much feel as though that he understands or he feels or he wants. And truly, there's actually an advantage of a person who does things even though he doesn't want. Because if a person does things because he wants, so then his own entity is mixing in with the connection to the creator. But if he doesn't want, and he still does it, so then you can say that it's purely only doing because the image created, which is very interesting. And sometimes there are people that they can understand such a concept and will decide to do a mitzvah because it's the opportunity of their life. Okay, okay, but that's not the perfection of the service of the Creator. The perfection is the person has to come to the level that not only it does only the level of nefesh, but he has to use the other levels of the soul also, the ruach and the chai and all these different levels. So now we have to know how do you get into this. So that's why we have the Pesukei Zima. When we start the daven, right, even though it starts with Hodu, but we go into the thinking into the revelations of what the Creator is doing in the world, and this causes an excitement, right? And this is the level of what's called ruach. Now, this is probably has an effect on a person. What the effect is of the person? That according to the way the person thinks is the way that his emotions will be. What this is called in concept is that if you think into the creation of the world, all right, so then it wakes up in the person's desire that to come close to the Creator is good for me. Okay, whenever the word me or the entity comes in, so when we say this is the outer part of the heart, right? The other part of the heart understands if it's good, it's not good. It's something good for me, not good for me. So therefore, this is what's called in Hebrew called chitzonis hamofim, that the outer part of the understanding can infect the outer part of the heart. Okay. In other words, the person can understand from the thinking into the concepts that are in the Pesukei Zimra how great it is to be close to the Creator. Okay, but this is all the as the Creator is invested in the world. But there are higher levels of concepts that a person has to get into also. What is the concept that is higher than just the what we see in the world? Is they have to get into the concept of the creation is actually coming of something which is coming from nothing. And they get it more into this is that person has to sort of come to the conclusion that there's nothing which makes itself, right? Everything which is made has to have someone who's making it. Then when we see something, it has an entity, so it has to be that it was created from something. It was created. It can't be that something which is here in an entity, it's just here without. I mean, nobody would think that the table just made itself. Everybody understands the table. Somebody made the table, right? So too, the fact that we see a world it implies logically that there has to be a creator who's creating it. Even though if you ask AI, he won't come to that conclusion. They're not programmed properly yet. But that's logical. The real logic comes into it. So it has to be that there is something, and something which is here, which is always here, and will always be here. It means that it's not in an existence that we see, because if it would be an existence that we could perceive, it's something which is limited. But something which is not limited, so therefore you can't have say, well, this thing over here is it made it's always been here. It's limited. But the creator who is always here, not limited, not created, and not created, he's the creator, is therefore he's always here because he's infinite. But you wouldn't be able to perceive it, you wouldn't be able to perceive it in your physical eyes or in your physical entity, because that's only perceives things which are limited. Okay. Therefore, since that there's something which is here in this creator, it's also known that the creation is it comes through the fact that there is a combination of different powers which are making it come into existence. As the Rambam brings, that everything in the world is built up of three different basic elements: fire, air, water, and air, and earth. So therefore, a sense that everything that's here has a combination of different elements, which means that it's put together and it's going to come apart. So again, so it has to be that something which is being put together and going to fall apart has the power behind it, which is doing it. As we find that even by growth, that things you can't take a seed and put it on on a cement floor in a piece of cement and expect it's going to grow. You can't turn from a seed into a tree if it's sitting on cement. What it has to be put in the earth. When put in the earth, then the form which it has falls apart. And therefore, from that can come out something new. But something which is an entity, you can't make another entity without going through a time when it has no entity. So therefore, again, it implies that everything which we see has to be coming from somewhere. Okay? So therefore, this line of thought is what a person has to get into to be able to wake up his desire to come close to the Creator in a not just in the outer way, but also in the inner way. Because when a person looks out in the world and he sees, so he's excited, but it does not change his line of thought. It does not change his approach. Temporarily, it could be that he's amazed, but it won't make a difference in another half hour, 2 hours. It's not going to change the way he looks at things. Whereas when a person starts to thinking, these lines of thought, so his thinking becomes a different kind of thinking, and therefore his excitement is a different kind of excitement. Therefore, afterwards, his approach to things is also a different approach to things. And a person realizes that the creation is every moment coming in. It's like a person sitting in a computer program. Like a person is inside a computer program, and all of a sudden realizes, "Hey, I'm inside a computer program. Whoa, this somebody must be programming me." So then it realizes it causes him to change his way he looks at things. And since the Creator has made the worlds over here through His speech, and the speech is at every moment, and every moment that is being brought into an entity. And if the Chas v'Shalom, there wouldn't be the speech of the Hashem, there wouldn't be anything here. So therefore, a person realizes that there is really no the real reality is only the reality of the Creator. Okay, and therefore, when a person has this concept in his understanding and it hits his heart, so therefore, when it comes to study Torah or to doing a mitzvah, so therefore his approach is going to be a different approach. Okay, he's going to be an approach that he realizes that through doing this mitzvah, doing or studying this Torah, that he's connecting himself with the infinite Creator. And the infinite Creator wants to be united together with him. Okay, and therefore, this is what's called. There's a kind of excitement, which is excitement the person feels himself. And there's a kind of excitement the person feels that he's given the opportunity to understand something which is much, much above him. And this we call in Hebrew, Hergish Eloki. Hergish Eloki means that a person realizes that the Creator is doing his utmost to be able to give me an opportunity that I should come close to him. And so it's an example. It's so to speak to leave a hint, leave around hints that I should become to understand how much that he loves me and how much he wants to be together. That's what's called Hergish Eliki. And that's really what we're looking for over here through this line of thought. Not just a logical thing, one and one is two and two is three, but it's not just logical, but it's an opportunity to have a line of thought that a person can be magish that from all this, that, well, take a look how much the Creator loves me and how much He wants to have a connection with me. And that's where we're going at with this kind of line of thought. Okay. Because there are other lines of thoughts that a person could get involved in, and they, so to speak, are much above his understanding. And it won't cause exactly the same reaction. Whereas if he thinks along these lines of thoughts, so really he can come to the by feeling. That's what's called das. When he uses his das to feel what I'm thinking about here really applies to me, and it has to do with my connection with the Creator. So then it will wake up in his heart a very, very deep desire to come close to the Creator, and therefore this causes him also afterwards that when he approaches the physical world, he is also in a more refined way because a person has in his understanding this kind of a depth. So then even when he has to do with physicality, what he realizes that it affects his dealing with physicality, that he understands that everything is being created at every moment. And therefore, it's not the same reality as he would have if he wouldn't study. Okay. And so to speak, this is this is we managed with Hashem's help to get through this mimer, and next time maybe we'll just go over it and then answer the questions that we asked next time. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, and we should be together. And today is youth-based Tammuz, and we should be together. This is Chag Gula of the previous Lubavitch Rebbe, and we should be together in the Gula. Take care of your Shekhi, Amen. 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 Amen.